Late in the Truman Show, somebody finally asks Christoph the only question that really matters. Why has Truman never come close to discovering the truth? And Christoph answers this question without even blinking. He could leave at any time. If he was absolutely determined to discover the truth, there's no way we could prevent him. And then there's the line that should be carved over the door of this entire video. Ultimately, Truman prefers his cell. For 30 years, this bastard Christoph is right. There's no locked door. They didn't even spend money on locks. The budget went to making sure he would never want to check, which leaves the only question that was ever actually yours. And it's not whether or not the world is fake. Plato, the Gnostics, the entire Truman Show movie settled that that's not the question. The question is the one that Truman's entire life story is asking. And I want you to answer it. Do we even want the truth? Because the data on human beings isn't very encouraging.
Yeah, welcome back with another banger. Yeah. Hit that like, sub it up, don't react, bounce. Back with another banger. Hit that like, sub it up, don't react, bounce. Y'all feel me? Let's run it.
Guys, the sun just fired off 10 different solar flares in a single day, and now the NOAA is saying that it could light up the northern lights across America right on the 4th of July. So actually, a few days ago, the sun threw off a solar flare that knocked out radio across North America in about 8 minutes. Then it just kept going, and they're saying that it fired off 10 more flares in the next 24 hours. A bunch of those flares launched plasma straight at Earth, and NOAA is already putting out a geomagnetic storm watch. They're saying whenever that plasma hits, it can mess with GPS, satellites, and even the power grid, but the part that everybody obviously cares about is what it does to the sky. A storm this size can obviously push the northern lights way further south than normal. NOAA is saying that it could show up anywhere from New York all the way to Idaho as long as your sky is dark and clear. And this is obviously happening right on 4th of July weekend, so a lot of the country might be able to see the northern lights the same night as fireworks, which is obviously a little bit crazy. If you are anywhere in the path this weekend, obviously make sure you take photos and drop them in the comments so we can all see it too.
Absolutely. If you see something like that, make sure you post it. What's up with this sun and these solar flares? Kicking out plasma, knocking out the radio in 8 minutes. That's wild. Shout out to Nick Jackson. I'm just wondering if this has anything to do with CERN shutting down.
Right, another installment of the patent truth. This one's titled Nervous System Manipulation by Electromagnetic Fields from Monitors. I'll read the abstract. Physiological effects have been observed in a human subject in response to stimulation of the skin with weak electromagnetic fields that are pulsed with certain frequencies near half hertz or 2.4 hertz, such as to excite a sensory resonance. Many computer monitors and TV tubes, when displaying pulsed images, emit pulsed electromagnetic fields of sufficient amplitudes to cause such excitation. It is therefore possible to manipulate the nervous system of a subject by pulsing images displayed on a nearby computer monitor or TV set. For the latter, the image pulsing may be embedded in the program material, or it may be overlaid by modulating a video stream, either as an RF signal or as a video signal. The image displayed on a computer monitor may be pulsed effectively by a simple computer program. For certain monitors, pulsed electromagnetic fields capable of exciting sensory resonances in nearby subjects may be generated even as the displayed images are pulsed with subliminal intensity. All right, this is 2003. Nervous system manipulation by electromagnetic fields from monitors. The image is pretty great. One of my favorites. And yeah, another installment of the patent truth. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back with more.
All right, real quick. Found another one of them apps y'all always go crazy over. I know I've shown apps like this before. You guys literally ran them up. Like all the good games were going. So I had to find a new one. and it's called Tester Up, and it pays you to test mobile games. It's basically the same idea. You just play games on your phone and get paid. But this one actually has a bunch of new games I haven't seen on the other ones yet. If you try it, make sure you use my link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen so you're on the exact one I'm using. I've been messing with it a little bit, and it's actually pretty easy to stack some money just playing casually. Don't just search it. Use my link or scan the QR code. Otherwise, you might end up on a different one. And if you try it, DM me what you make. You guys always send me crazy screenshots, so I'm trying to see who runs this one up. If you need some extra money and you're already playing games on your phone, hit the link in the description or scan the QR code and try it out.
My brother texted me about MK Ultra in the middle of the night. Let's fucking go. What's happening here? Ali, did you see Charles Manson and Harvey Lee Oswald were part of MK Ultra? The House Oversight Committee said it yesterday. Ooh. Investigative reporter tells Congress how he found documents linking Manson murders to the CIA mind control experiments. Ooh. So what O'Neill testified to Congress. West was a CIA-funded psychiatrist who ran the Haight-Ashbury Project in 1967. Mason and his followers attended the same free clinic at the same time. O'Neill found that in West's archived papers at UCLA, original correspondence between West and Sidney Gottlieb, the mad scientist, alias Sherman Grifford, P.O. Box, Chemoroful Associates. Even just the P.O. Box name is a whole rabbit hole here. I'm so excited, but in a really fucked up sad way because MK Ultra is awful, but at least we're finding out about it. Anyway, beginning in June 1953, 2 months after CIA Director Alan Dulles formally authorized MK Ultra, West's first letter to Gottlieb proposed LSD and hypnosis experiments on basic airmen, prisoners, and psychiatric patients, specifically to induce trance states, amnesia, extract information, implant false information, and alter the ideas and attitudes of formerly loyal individuals. Gottlieb replied, calling West an asset. West responded, "Sure, there is no more vital undertaking conceivable." O'Neill testified he was able to prove for the first time that West had lied his entire career when denying CIA involvement. On Jack Ruby. In April 1964, after Ruby was convicted of killing Lee Harvey Oswald, West travelled to Dallas to examine Ruby on behalf of Ruby's new defense attorney. After several hours alone with Ruby, West emerged and declared Ruby had suffered an acute psychotic break and was now positively insane and unshakable. Ruby subsequently gave incoherent testimony to the Warren Commission. O'Neill notes in his testimony Alan Dulles sat on the Warren Commission. Richard Helms, who oversaw MK Ultra and later ordered its records to be destroyed, served as CIA liaison to the commission. Neither disclosed West's CIA relationship. And then on Congress being misled in 1977, O'Neill presented a 14-page 1956 West report, Psychophysiological Studies of Hypnosis and Suggestibility. The original document, which O'Neill held in his hand at the hearing, contains West's claim that he had successfully replaced true memories with false ones in subjects without their awareness using LSD and hypnosis. Are you suggesting that MK Ultra was actually successful as mind control? And for 70 years, we just didn't know. We thought they had failed. We believed them. The version turned over to Congress in 1977 replaced West's actual findings with a 4-page summary by another hand, concluding that the effects of LSD on dissociative states had never been studied, the direct opposite of what West had written. So yes, it was successful. If by successful you mean produce Charles Manson, I guess the CIA would find that successful. O'Neill's direct quote to the committee, "I believe Congress was never told the truth about what this program actually achieved. In fact, I believe the agency misled Congress in 1977. O'Neill told Representative Scott Perry that there were a minimum 149 known subcontracted programs outside of the CIA, and the real victim count could have been into the tens of thousands. He stated the likely reason nothing was ever pursued is that compensation could have bankrupted the government. MK Ultra conducted the most extreme experiments on human beings that has ever been carried out by a US government agency. By any standard, they qualify as medical torture. Experiments took place in prisons, clinics, and safe houses in the US, Europe, Asia, and Latin America. CIA officers were authorized to travel to countries under formal or informal US occupation and request expendables human beings who would not be missed if they disappeared. Kisner called for full removal of redactions on existing known documents, noting the national security justification used in the 1970s, only 20 years since these things happened, no longer holds after 70 years. The committee is now demanding full declassification of remaining and redacted MKUltra documents, CIA to end all remaining redactions on documents already released, accountability for the gap between what Congress was told in 1977 and what documents now show. Luna's opening statement described MKUltra as crimes against humanity and stated the CIA committed them, and the director of the CIA was ordering the destruction of evidence. I had previously done a video about MKUltra based on what we knew then, and the best way for you to find that is probably just to search my name and MKUltra in this platform, and it will come up as the first video. Clearly, I'm going to be making a lot more videos as this all unravels in front of our faces.
Wow. No longer just a conspiracy theory. Question is, who else was being medically tortured? Who else was on MK Ultra outside of Charles Manson? Shout out to Ally McForever. I totally agree. This would definitely certify as crimes against humanity. Feel bad for the people in the 70s who had to deal with it.
Sigmund Freud was a Satanist, full stop. He was into Jewish mysticism, the occult. He began gaslighting kids who actually were being raped by their parents in Vienna. That is the true story of Sigmund Freud. There's a book on it by the man who controlled his archives called The Assault on Truth. This is a book written by a Jewish man, so there's no anti-Semitism. He believed in Sigmund Freud's theory, which was that kids are attracted to their parents. And then he learned to speak German so that he could read Sigmund Freud's notes and his letters that the public has never seen. And he realized that Sigmund Freud was a complete fraud. He literally saw and knew that these kids were being abused in such satanic, vicious ceremonies that they died. He would then go to the morgue, he observed their injuries, he knew it was real. And he lied because he was protecting his friends. Sigmund Freud's contribution to society, he created gaslighting. So you can draw a direct line from Sigmund Freud to Hollywood, to modern propaganda, to PR that we have today.
You know, everybody is at the Michael Rubin party. This year they had a special guest. Shut up! They invited Palm Beach Pete. You know the Kardashians had a show up and show out. Just another day in HW. Snoop Dogg, Travis Scott, Martha Stewart, and of course Michael Rubin. H to the Izzo, V to the Izzy. You see it. And guess who's in the back? Tom Brady! I don't even think that's Lil Wayne, but Lil Wayne is there. Wow, they got Iron Mike there. I knew it. Of course, little baby had to come. People are saying that Michael Rubin gave him another drunken hug. Shut up! It's not a game. And you see Quavo and Travis Scott again. And of course, after you win the NBA championship, you have to go to the Michael Rubin party. Can't forget about Cardi B. You know she had to show up, all white, everything. There's a lot of people at this Michael Rubin party. Sports players, actors, singers, rappers, everybody. Not sure why they didn't take pictures with him. I didn't see any. Maybe there's some, maybe there's not, but he said that he was there. Not just playing our guys, entertainment purposes only. Michael Rubin party was turned up. All the celebrities showed up, they showed out, they did their thing. Me personally, I probably won't go there. Let me know if you'll go there. I'm out. Everybody.
Palm Beach Pete was there. That's wild. I don't know. Nobody took any pictures with him. Shout out to True Story 718. It just looks hella sus. Everything that's been going on, you know? It looks like Diddy's legacy.
People kept asking, oh, cut it in half then. Why don't they just cut it in half? They cut the Boogosphere in half. You might remember us posting this stuff for the last, well, actually the first one was documented in January, which the actual sphere came down in March. And these pieces have been tested, carbon dated, looked at with scanning electron microscope. Everything points to conclusive antiquity. The amount of effort put into this sphere and this type of iconography seem to be very important to this culture. In fact, the carbon dates when they dated the Boogosphere actually match to a lot of the dates that we find in Mexico off these pieces. You can see the inside sphere here. It was isolated. If you look at this diagram, which was made by AI, but it does explain how this could be an anti-gravitic device and how this would be a notion of energy. And the fact that we see within the actual spinning of the original Boogosphere that crashed, it actually loses weight This is documented on camera right here. So the fact that this thing loses weight, it weighed less, it weighed 2 kilograms when they found it. It weighs over 10 kilograms now. This is very bizarre. I think there's a real logical purpose here, you know, with Mercury and other things that we've been able to create anti-gravitic type fields. This could very well be harnessing that type of energy in order to give this thing the ability to fly. That chip, however, is the real interesting part. You can see on the chip, you know, there's all these different caps, and that's where they carbon dated the Boogosphere from at 12,000 years, or more than 12,000 years old, actually.
Inside of the array of points that you see around this chip, they're actually electrically conductive. And on the inside of the actual chip in the center, there is another point which is not conductive to the others.
Clearly there's a function for this, not just artistic design. Over the next few weeks, you're going to hear a lot about this, and I imagine the studies and the research will come back, and we'll understand if this is indeed a real piece of ancient civilization technology, or what exactly it is, and how it was made, and everything. It's going to give us a lot of information. So we're very fortunate to see its brother or sister. Well, till next time.
You know, there are countless questions on, is this real or is it fake? Where did it come from? You know? Shout out to Robert Edward Grant. Shout outs to Alien Carvings. Like, this is really starting to get pretty interesting.
The obsidian mirror was one of the most powerful ritual objects in Mesoamerican tradition, especially among the Aztecs. Made from polished volcanic glass, it was associated with divination, self-reflection, and communication with the spiritual world. It is closely linked to the deity Tezcatlipoca, whose name means smoking mirror. Priests and diviners believed the mirror could reveal hidden truths, omens, and spiritual insights. In modern occult traditions, obsidian mirrors are often used for scrying, though these practices reflect spiritual and esoteric beliefs rather than established fact.
Everyone knows that engaging in negative thoughts and actions can attract demons that can f up your life. But did you know that the opposite is also true? Specifically, acting with virtue and harmony attracts positive, higher energies that can actually help you get what you want in life. In How to Know Higher Worlds, Rudolf Steiner explains that the spiritual world operates on exact laws, just like the physical world, meaning anger literally blocks your connection to these higher realms and repels helpful entities. He warns that while gentleness removes obstacles and opens your spiritual senses, quote, harshness or callousness frightens away the soul forms that should awaken the eyes of the soul. Similarly, in I Ching, the Oracle of the Cosmic Way, Carol Anthony explains that the cosmos operates purely on the principles of harmony and mutual attraction, or love, rather than power or force. Because of this, any display of ego, power, or negativity causes these higher entities to withdraw and no longer come to your aid. When a person approaches a situation with an egotistical motive, such as wanting decisions made for them, seeking power, or acting out of arrogance, these higher energies retreat to maintain their dignity. She also notes that blaming others and casting them off as evil actively blocks these energies from being able to resolve conflicts, which only demonizes the situation further. I found this interesting to read because it's a side people almost never talk about. We know negative actions can attract demons that can mess up our lives, but we often forget that acting with virtue and harmony actively attracts positive entities that can improve them.
Have you ever seen George Washington in his Freemasonic regalia? Obviously this is a painting, but he was a well-known Mason. Up top it says Washington as a Freemason. There's a number of things going on here that I would like to acknowledge, but the main thing I want to talk about today is the wedge that you can see up top in this arch. This is known as the keystone. Let me show you a couple more examples where you'll see this keystone. So here you can see this arch going from one pillar to the other, and above where the keystone would be is an eye. This would be the eye of God, and he is looking through where the wedge would have been down at the scene below. And so the keystone in this instance is missing, but notice that there is light shining through that gap. Here's a book cover called The Royal Arch. You will see that keystone up top once again with the circle and the letters. Here's another example. You see light shining through where the keystone would be, And this keystone has been shown in many different ways. So here, as an example, there is a beehive in the middle of the keystone. And here you can see a pin that represents the keystone. It says, "Let there be light." It's referring to the light shining from the heavens through that hole. And this is where things start to get really interesting, and it speaks to why I'm even talking about this to begin with. But notice that around the scene, there is the zodiac wheel, and where the keystone would be is right in between where Gemini and Cancer is. Here's another example of the two pillars and the royal arch, and right in the middle where the keystone is labeled Cancer. So there's actually a relationship with this keystone and Cancer. This is really important stuff. Here you can see why Cancer is depicted as being the top of the arch, because what they're really showing is the beginning of 3 of the 4 seasons. So Aries begins spring, Cancer begins summer, and then we have Libra, which begins the fall. Here they're very explicit that Cancer represents the keystone. Notice that there's 7 stars beneath the keystone. This is symbolic for a lot of different reasons. The letter G, by the way, as an example, is the 7th letter of the alphabet, which I think is interesting. And the major arcana card that corresponds with Cancer is the Chariot card, which is the 7th card of the major arcana. And then also, most of Cancer takes place during the 7th month, which is July. Here's another wedge. Notice that the wedge at the very top has the letter Chet. This is C-H-E-T. This is a Hebrew letter. It's really interesting. This letter symbolically represents a handful of things, including a canopy or an enclosure, an inner space. And when you have this royal arch motif that is bridging the gap between these two pillars, you are kind of making a similar shape, right? You can see that the left side of this letter could be symbolically the left pillar, the right side could be symbolically the right pillar, Boaz and Jachin, and the very top could be this canopy or symbolic arch. Well, it turns out that this canopy can be seen in a few different places, including traditional wedding canopies. And traditional wedding canopies have 4 pillars to them. This is a traditional Jewish wedding canopy, but you will see that this motif is kind of echoed in a lot of traditions. As an example, you see it in the Chariot card as well. So you see the 4 pillars or posts, and up top, you can see this canopy. And to the lower left, you will see this letter, Chet. And, I just think it's fascinating that this letter is associated with this keystone, which is associated with Cancer. It corresponds with the Chariot card, and then you actually literally see the canopy above the charioteer's head. And where the keystone would be, you see the crab. And here you see the canopy once again, and there's actually a symbolic arch on the charioteer's head, right? And where the keystone would be, you see that star. In my opinion, this is symbolic of the North Star. Here's another example. The Chariot card has this canopy motif. It has the 4 pillars or posts. And down below it also has the alternative hermetic title, Lord of the Triumph of Light. This is the light that's shining through Cancer. This is the symbolic overlap. This is the correspondence between Royal Arch Freemasonry, the keystone, the light that shines through, the number 7, the Chariot card, and the Hebrew letter that associates all of this together. Well, remember I showed you the keystone and there's a beehive within it. Well, this keystone is symbolic of Cancer, and it's really interesting that within the constellation of Cancer, you have the beehive cluster. And as you can see, this is really a complete system that's linking all of these various symbols together. And what it really speaks to is this older belief that Cancer was known as the gateway of man, meaning that we enter into this reality, into this realm via Cancer, and we exit via Capricorn. This is an older Babylonian belief, and you guys can do research on it. It's a really fascinating concept when you really think about it. But for now, I just felt like I would introduce this idea and let you know that it relates to Royal Arch Freemasonry and the symbols that are associated with that system, including the keystone. And I just find this all fascinating. As always, I would love to know what you think. Thanks.
Have you ever find it fascinating, especially with it being 250th birthday of America, this 4th of July. That's wild. The first president. Shout out to Symbolic Studies, like how he broke this down. Like, yo. And it kind of makes a lot of sense. especially when it comes to the clock and the calendar. That's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed the deep dive. If you enjoyed this video, please consider to give it a like, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. Shout outs to all the reactors. Thanks again. Till next time.